Hi everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Anita. First things first, I'm going to apologize because I am doing this from the balcony, and the dogs are around, and every now and then we get a tractor that comes down the road and they go ballistic at the gate. So if there's lots of barking, I do apologize. I'm hoping that they've been tired out by being with Richard on the farm, because they've come back full of mud. So they've obviously been swimming up there. So I'm hoping that they're going to just rest and allow me to get this video done. Right, I had an email from someone who asked me what was my biggest symptom, my main symptom. So that would be backache. I had lower back pain for a very long time. I would say around the 18-month mark, and no one was interested. It got so bad that if I sat down, Richard would have to give me a hand up again. And my GP said that the only time that she could action an MRI was if I went privately to a chiropractor for 3 months. And then if there was no improvement, then she would attach that form from the chiropractor to a request form for the NHS for MRI. And that letter I have here, and it just basically says that, which one is this now? This is the iPass. So I've got the letter here, and from the iPass clinic, which I'll read to you. iPass is the Integrated Pain and Spinal Services. So thank you for referring this 55-year-old patient to iPass clinic for her back pain. She was seen in the clinic today face-to-face. Anita reports that around June 2022, she started to have pain in the lower back. This letter was sent to me in June of 2023. So it took 1 year for me just to get a meeting with iPass, not the MRI, the meeting. She saw her GP and was given amitriptyline and naproxen with no improvement. Quite right. So I then went on to the chiropractor. She then went on to the chiropractor for 3 months. Blah, blah, blah. And then we had a possible diagnosis of fibromyalgia. That was what was discussed. It turned out not to be that, as you know. She reports that she's had a fit test. A fit test now is a feces test where they look for blood in the feces, which usually indicates or can indicate cancer. And her results have come back elevated. So a normal fit test, you need less than 10. I came back over 200. And then she also writes over here, she reports that she has taken trimethoprim for a few days as she Googled inflammation of the bowels and felt that this could be contributing. With taking this, she noticed a slight improvement. And it's a long letter. So yes, I did take trimethoprim, and she's quite right. It is used to, it's used for bladder infections. And at one point in my life, I used to have a lot of bladder infections. So trimethoprim is always something that I had in my cupboard. Like some people have, everyone always has paracetamol or aspirins, but I had trimethoprim. And I know it's for bladder infection, but it seemed to help me. I think it was the anti-inflammatory that seemed to work for me. And I'm sharing this with you because no one at the surgery thought that my lower back pain, they didn't take it seriously, to be honest with you. They really and truly didn't. And with me Googling and finding out that lower back pain can indicate a blockage or cancer, they kind of look at you as if you've lost your marbles. I suppose it must be frustrating because, you've gone to the doctor and then you're telling the doctor what you think it is. But in the UK, they don't seem to listen. You sit in front of them and they go, well, why are you here? Well, I'm sick. Okay, so tell me what you feel and where are you sick? And then they just type. They don't look at you. They don't check you. They're very dismissive. And I had a good local GP, in all fairness. I thought she was really good. But anyway, so the trimethoprim for me did work because I just used my own common sense. If it's an anti-inflammatory for bladder, perhaps the anti-inflammatory might work for the bowel. Did it take the pain away? Not at all, but it helped a hell of a lot. So yes. And so that was, with all said and done, I finally got my MRI. It took them about 2 months to send me the results, by which time I'd already been diagnosed with colorectal cancer stage 3. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, you'll see that we were right in the middle of moving to Portugal when this diagnosis came through. For us, the timing could not have been worse, honestly. I had my first colonoscopy on the 29th of June, 2023, and that scan showed a low mid-rectal tumor that looked like an adenocarcinoma. So biopsies were taken and sent for urgent histology, and the results came back, and I'll read you part of that letter that I received. Now, is that this one here? So I've received this 55-year-old lady with her husband today in our colorectal clinic, following a recent diagnosis of a malignant-looking lesion in her mid-rectum on the colonoscopy. Her histology results showed at least high-grade dysplasia, but there's no confirmatory malignancy. But her MRI shows a tumor to be T3N1 with threatened CRM. Her CT scan also showed an indeterminate liver lesion. Thank God that turned out to be benign. She was discussed in our colorectal cancer MDT, blah, blah. I have explained to her the findings. She understands that although the histology is not confirmatory yet, clinically and radiologically, she has got rectal malignancy. We had a long discussion about different treatment options, including the holistic, no treatment, chemotherapy, and surgery. Unfortunately, she's in the middle of moving to Portugal, and therefore we're in a very tricky situation on whether to start her treatment here in the UK, or does she want to wait until she moves to Portugal? Another long letter, but you get the gist of it. So the second colonoscopy, along with the MRI, confirmed the cancer. Next stop was being assigned an oncologist. I say assigned because this is the NHS that we're with, and you don't get to choose your doctor. So it's true, that doctor is it's a lucky dip. That's all it is. So I was given a woman who I'm going to refer to as Dr. X. Now, it's only my opinion. Again, everything I say is only my opinion. But when you've been diagnosed with cancer or any really serious illness that requires a lot of face-to-face appointments, you need to, you having to put 100% of your faith in that person. You really, in my opinion, need to like each other. There needs to be a connection so that you can work together. And this, very sadly, was not the case with Dr. X and myself. I think it's sad to say that on site, we both disliked each other. And it probably just got a whole lot worse when I mentioned that I didn't want chemotherapy. And, unfortunately in life, that happens. I've met people in my life where I just love them. I meet them and I think they are just wonderful. We click. The energy is right. And then I've met other people who I think are absolutely dreadful, and they've done nothing. I haven't actually even been introduced to them, but I've seen them across a room and I just don't like them. I don't like their energy. It happens in life. And unfortunately for her and I, we got each other on this journey and we didn't like each other. But be that as it may. And she wasn't happy when I told her that I didn't want chemotherapy, and I had come with a list of all the alternative therapies that I was taking. And the part that really annoyed me was she was really dismissive. She basically rolled her eyes, and was really trying very hard to tell me that basically the only thing on the planet that would give me a chance at surviving was chemotherapy, radiation, and then followed by surgery. End of, And I don't know. I just didn't like her attitude. But I had one card up my sleeve, which it wasn't meant to be a card up my sleeve. I mean, had the meeting turned out to be any different, and had we actually got on, this card wouldn't have come out. but she forced my hand. I had no choice in the end, because I found that she was being hypocritical. So the card I had up my sleeve, is that once I knew who the oncologist was, because once NHS sends the letter, then you've got your oncologist's name. And me being me, I had to set about searching for as much information as I could get on who she was, what were her achievements. My life was in this woman's hands. So, and to my shock and delight, I mean, I hadn't met her yet, but to my shock and delight, she was one of the doctors holding medical trials in London on using mebendazole. Now, mebendazole is the human version of fenbendazole, and Dr. X was using mebendazole on children with brain cancer and having the most incredible results. And so in my mind at the time, I was thinking, wow, I'm so lucky to get someone like this. This woman's made for me because she thinks like I do. But that was not how it turned out. So the ace that I had, she was about to basically wrap it up and tell me I can move on. And I said to her, Dr. X, before I leave here today, would you please explain to me why you've been so dismissive of my alternative therapies? When I believe, that you are actually holding trials in London with great success on using the alternative therapies that I'm using. I mean, you're using mebendazole. I'm using fenbendazole. It's the same thing. We're splitting hairs here. So just help me, please, to understand why I feel like you're viewing me as simple-minded when you appear to be having such success with the exact same product. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, she just sat there looking at me. Honestly, she was so angry with me, and it was all over her face. She was not impressed with me at all. And she was shocked, absolutely shocked. She didn't know what to say to me, in all fairness. Anyway, after she'd got over herself, she said to me, "Oh, pass me that file and let's go through this all together. Let's go through this again." So I've got a few things that I'll tell you about. If you've watched any of my other videos, there's a whole load of things that I've been taking. But these are the main ones that I'm going to mention to you now. These are the main ones. When you get diagnosed with cancer, you hear of something, I don't know, it could be that bottle of water over there is brilliant for cancer, and you rush off and buy it. And then you get home and then you look at something else and then you rush off and buy that. And before you know it, you can end up taking 50 tablets a day. So I have been taking loads, but these are the main ones. Okay. So number one, well, in no particular order, but number one, vitamin C. Now, vitamin C is a potent anti-cancer agent, and especially if it's done intravenously. Now, I never did that because in the UK, that's quite pricey. So I just changed my diet and I drank orange juice until it was coming out my ears, and I ate all the fruits that were high in vitamin C, etc., etc. So have a Google of that and you see whether or not it's something for you. Number two, fenbendazole and ivermectin. Now, to me, these two guys are the ticket. These two guys hold the answers. Fenbendazole is similar to Panacur, pretty much the same project, which in most countries is an over-the-counter dog dewormer. The human version, as I say, is called mebendazole. The fenbendazole you can buy on Amazon, or you can go to the Fenben Labs, and you can buy it from them. It's fantastic. It's brilliant stuff. So I found a scientific document on the American Association of Cancer Research, Volume 8, Issue 12. Go and get a pen and paper and I'll repeat that for you, because I don't know how to do all these attachments onto YouTube. I haven't figured that out yet. So you're going to have to do the old school way and write what I tell you down, because there's about 3 of these sites coming up. So, right, let's go again. You need to Google the American Association for Cancer Research, Volume 8, Issue 12. Now, basically what it says is that the colorectal cancer is one of the leading causes of cancer death. There have been various attempts to cure the cancer by developing new efficient anti-therapy in addition to surgical resection and of course chemotherapy. In this particular study that you're going to read about, they've investigated the effects of fenbendazole, which is a parasite dewormer, etc. drug, on both the colon cancer cells and a patient-derived colon tumor organoid. Okay, so it's a long article, and you'll find that if you read it, you shouldn't be in any doubt after that. The long and short is that within 24 hours, you reach apoptosis. Now, what is apoptosis? It's cell death. It's cancer cell death. And that's within 24 hours. And at the end of the article, it states that overall, our assessment they say at the end that overall, our study suggested a possibility that fenbendazole could be applied for an anti-cancer therapy that targets cell arrest. Have a look at the article. Also, no interactions have been seen with fenbendazole being taken in conjunction with chemotherapy. They work very well together. Oh my Lord, let me just put my teeth back in. Let me have a sip of water. I talk too much. Oh, sorry. Right, so fenbendazole works very well with chemotherapy. Why wouldn't you give this a try? Why wouldn't you want to try? Oh, when I heard about this fenbendazole in 2016 or 2017, I was bowled over because it was a story about Joe Tippins. And this guy had been, I can't remember what cancer he had. It doesn't matter because, I mean, like he says in his own words, his CT lit up like a Christmas tree. He was full of cancer from head to toe. He'd been doing chemotherapy for years. And then he went on to this trial. And then there was a friend of his who had a friend who was some veterinary scientist. And she was working on cancer tumors with mice when her mice developed worms. So she gave them fenbendazole to get rid of the worms, and it got rid of the cancer tumors. I mean, and this woman ended up actually with a brain tumor herself, and she healed herself by using the same stuff that she accidentally healed her rats with, which was fenbendazole. So why wouldn't you give it a try? You've got nothing to lose. Pardon me, I take it every day. Well, that's not true. I do a 4 on 3 off now because I touch wood and thank you, God, and thank you, fenbendazole, and thank you for all the prayers around that have been sent my way. I am cancer-free at the moment. So what I do is I take it as a precautionary thing. Whereas before I was doing it every day, now I do 4 days on, 3 days off. But I can't see myself stopping that fenbendazole. And I believe with Joe Tippins, I think he's almost on his 10-year anniversary now because they sent him home to die. They basically said to him, listen, we've done everything. There is nothing else we can do. So go home, spend it with your family. You've probably got a matter of 2 months, a few weeks, 3 months to max. Find yourself a hospice and just enjoy the last few weeks of your life. And from that to cancer-free, I mean, wow. Now, he had his own protocol. Go and Google him. He did fenbendazole, but he didn't do like I did artemisinin, and he didn't do that. He did milk thistle, and he did CBD oil and curcumin, I think. Go and have a look at his protocol. But we all kind of pinch from each other's protocols, and I pinched some of his protocol, Joe Tippins' protocol. Right, so moving on, number 3, doxycycline. Fortunately, I've got a friend of mine who's a private doctor, and he gave me the prescription for this medication because there's no way in hell that my local GP would have given me a prescription for doxycycline. She just wouldn't have gone along with it as much as we liked each other. So despite decades of research and development, it said that only 13% of those with colorectal cancer diagnosis actually, well, my stage and above, last 5 years. So that's charming. But do some research on the doxycycline, because I think you'll be surprised to find that doxycycline exerts potent chemotherapeutic activity. So it's very similar. It's very similar to the chemotherapy. It's just not anywhere near as harmful. So a very interesting and useful drug, in my opinion. Number 4, artemisinin. This is one of my favorites. Now, the article I read, get that pen and paper out again, you can find on the Biotechnology and Medicine 2008. Have a look online for that. And there it explains very clearly how potent artemisinin is for a broad cancer spectrum. Really, its role in oncology is quite a big deal. So several studies have shown that artemisinin and its synthetic forms can target cancer cells, and especially when combined with chemotherapy. You need to look into this one as well. Really, take my word for it. Number 5, soursop. Now, I'm struggling like crazy to get soursop. It's a tea. In Portugal, you just can't get it. I did get it when I was in the UK, but no longer. I can't get it here. But if you can get your hands on soursop or Essiac, that's another good one, Essiac tea, then please do so. Have a look on the Cancer Research UK website, and you'll see that it promotes soursop tea as an alternative cancer treatment. Interesting. And then you've also got things like turkey tail mushroom, which is brilliant for cancer. What else? You've got turmeric, curcumin, and I'll tell you another one which I took was black seed oil. Now, if you look at the National Library of Medicine, published in July 2011, you will find how effective this black seed oil is, not only for cancer, but for cardiovascular, for breasts, for cervix, for kidneys, for so many things. Go and have a look at black seed oil. And if you watch the other videos, as I say, there's so many other bits and pieces that I took. But this will hopefully give you more detail, which I don't think I've given you before. And after going through all of this, my Dr. X agreed that I could continue taking everything, but I still had to do the chemotherapy for 5 weeks, followed by 2 weeks, a 2-week break, and then a further 9 months of chemo. Now, I'm going to finish the video here, because then when I do the next one, we'll talk about that next difficult meeting with Dr. X. I nearly said her name there, with Dr. X, and go through all of that, and then finally wind our way through to Portugal, because what takes place in Portugal is very interesting. Guys, I hope that you found this useful. If you have any questions, please send me an email, and look after yourself. God bless you. And again, if you don't mind, like and subscribe. That'll be great. Lots of love. Bye-bye.